My ex-wife when I left the toilet seat up. Me when my ex-wife accidentally sliced her finger cutting a tomato. And this was my school report aged 15.
Dumb.
Stupid.
Crazy. Dangerous.
Stinks.
Hi guys, today we're going to talk about why I think oud fragrances suck. Bear with me on this one, guys. Am I trolling you? Am I for real? I'm going to tell you 3 reasons why I honestly believe it can be argued that a lot of oud fragrances suck. They're just scamming you with the oud hype, guys. I'm going to tell you all about it. Don't forget, please, if you want to buy fragrance samples in the USA and Canada, go to myfragrancesamples.com. There is a link in the description of this video. They have an amazing range of designer and niche fragrances. It's my recommended place to get your fragrances over there in North America. One more thing. Don't forget, guys, you can buy Chypre Fulminare now. It's out there in the USA, and you can buy it in the UK and in Canada. Amazing Chypre fragrance by our perfumer, John Stephen, over at Naughton and Wilson. It has lime, it has ylang ylang, it has vetiver, it has pepper, it has leather, it has castoreum. It is potent, it is dynamic, it is a powerhouse masculine fragrance for the 21st century. Reviews have been amazing. Link in the description. Okay, guys, let's talk about it. Oud fragrances. You know what? Here's the 3 reasons I think, because everyone's into oud now. You know, you can't really say, everyone has to pretend they like oud. No one can talk about it's like the emperor's new clothes, you know. Okay, let me give you the 3 reasons. Reason number 1, a lot of time designer oud fragrances, they don't really work, okay? So for me, you know, people just release these fragrances, blah, 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 and then they do the oud version, like you've got Boss Bottled Oud and this kind of thing. They just stick oud on the end of the name of the fragrance and call that a new flanker and maybe charge extra money for it. And I've got to be honest, sometimes it feels like they've just jackknifed in this oud accord into the fragrance, and it doesn't work for me, okay? So in a lot, maybe this is almost like, I could get in trouble. This may not be a politically correct thing. I think in a lot of cases, it's actually very difficult to put the oud accord into traditional Western style perfumery. Oud, of course, is a pungent rotting wood, rotting agar wood infected with a certain fungus. Very great history of oud perfumery from Arabia and from the Middle East and from that part of the world, which has a fantastic heritage. And of course, I'm all in favour of mixing different cultures and mixed fusion cuisine and all that kind of thing. But it's hard to get that right, okay? So I think sometimes when they just whack in a load of kind of synthetic oud into an otherwise designer, traditional, high street friendly designer fragrance, for me, it doesn't really work that well, and a lot of these oud flankers haven't done that well. Oud, yeah, a lot of it is just, it doesn't work. I don't own many of these type of fragrances. I don't like them, and it's not real oud anyway. Okay, a couple of comments I got on oud from friends in the fragrance community. Barry from the Centralized channel, linked in the description. He's in the UK. He said, I used to hate oud, but the more I travel into my journey, the more I love it. There are, of course, many different kinds of oud, and I still struggle with barnyard smelling ones. The fabulous Oda Erica, also linked in the description, often a guest on my live stream. She says, I love oud. It's just a note that has to grow on you, and it has to be quality and nicely blended. And finally, we've got another lovely guest on my live stream. Her channel's linked down there too in the description. Margie Noir says, oud is not featured in the perfumes I typically go for. However, there is oud in Tom Ford Noir de Noir, and that is a beautiful perfume. Initio, though, do not like the ouds that Initio does. Secondly, and this applies maybe to the designer, but even more so in the niche world, it's the price thing. People just put the word oud in a fragrance and think that's a license to print money. E.g., Royal Oud from Creed. It was 2011, I think, the oud craze was at its peak. And they just whacked the name oud into a fragrance, Royal Oud. And then it was actually priced higher than even, things like Aventus and stuff. They charged you extra just for saying there's oud in it. I'm sure there is some oud in it, but it really doesn't actually smell much like oud, okay? So it was just a token thing, and they just use it as a license to print money, okay? And the other thing in connection with these niche things, actually, so we've almost got 4 points. So it's just, they whack up the price. Whether you think it smells any better or not, big question, okay? Because oud supposedly costs a lot of money. Well, real oud does, but a lot of the time in these fragrances, there may be a little bit of real oud, but there are also synthetic oud accords, and they don't really smell like real oud, okay? The oud aficionados would not be happy with the kind of oud accord that these people are putting into the niche fragrances where they suddenly charge you a ton more money. So things like Creed's Oud Wood is actually a great, really nice smelling fragrance, but there isn't a lot of great, it doesn't have any pungent, funky, mysterious, exotic ouds. It's just got a little smidgen of this sort of synthetic, harmless oud accord, and it's a bit of a fake. They're faking it, they're kind of tricking you a little bit in a way with what they do with that. And also I find, I get in trouble, I find that there's these bullshitty kind of niche houses that are all based around the oud. Initio, Oud for Greatness, Fragrance de Bois stuff. I don't know, man, I just think it's a whole thing based on this sort of hype of the oud, and then they can charge more money. And let's bring back the old days where niche houses and designer houses had to really, really work hard and make fantastic complex perfumes using the traditional herbs and the spices and the woods. Nowadays, it feels like you just throw a ton of oud into something, synthetic kind of oud accords, maybe with a bit of the real thing and some sweet notes, and then you charge whatever you like for it. I don't like it. It's not a good trend. Thirdly, here's the big one. I've got some fragrances that do contain really, really genuine natural oud. Lao Oud by Bortnikov. Actually, very fascinating smell. But to be honest, barnyard oud, barnyard oud, real oud, natural oud, has a very, very polarizing kind of smell. People talk about barnyard oud, people talk about fecal oud. It has cow dung-esque notes, even baby's nappies-esque elements to it. Now, I actually think this is a fantastic piece of art and a really compelling perfume. But this really, if you actually just would like to smell nice and presentable, and you're not a geek and you're not massively into, hoarding loads of fragrances and sitting there sniffing samples, you are way better off with a simple citrus aromatic fragrance. I like the old school Armani Eau Pour Homme. If you're going on a date, you would be very, very well advised probably not to pick something like this. I respect the house, it's great, but it is so polarizing and odd. In many cases, it's something you want as a work of art to sniff on the strip. You don't want to go down to Big Lil's nightclub wearing a ton of real oud. So this is my case, okay? Real oud stinks. They just whack a lot more price on a fragrance because there's oud in the name, often synthetic in the niche. And when you get even the more reasonable designer ouds, for me, just whacking oud into a Boss bottled or some other kind of, what was it? The Ralph Lauren one had an oud. I don't think it's all that great, okay? That's my take on oud. On the other hand, I'm kind of just trolling you there. I was being devil's advocate. There are some great oud fragrances. I think that's actually a fascinating fragrance, but it is hard to wear. Tom Ford's Oud Wood probably does have a little bit of oud in there, and it is a great fragrance. So it's brought something new to the game. And actually, you know what? Our house may, Norton & Wilson actually may, as maybe our fifth fragrance, do something with oud in it. So I'll be eating my words. So I was playing devil's advocate, not completely my opinion. I'm not the biggest oud aficionado, but let me know what you thought about that in the comments down below. Remember, guys, whatever you're doing in life, let's project. Please subscribe if you enjoyed my hot take. And also, although life may stink, we can always smell good. Or do we, if we're wearing fecal oud? Who'd have thought it? That's the end of the video. See you next time. Bye-bye.